Glad you could be with us for another edition of Fight Back. And on this program, Rubbermaid claims you can freeze, beat, and jam their trash can and even hit it with a car and it won't break. Well, we're going to challenge that claim. When manufacturers slip up in quality control, it usually shows up on their labels. And we have some real doozies to show you that you, our viewers, sent us. We're also going to show you how to trace your family tree without going out on a limb and getting ripped off, and we'll get into the risks you take when you drive in Mexico without Mexican automobile insurance. We have all this and a lot more after this break. You all remember when they used to have garbage cans made out of all metal? Most of us do. You know, they'd start out bright and shiny like this one, and then usually after 1 or 2 uses, they'd be bent, dinged, and sometimes completely smashed by the overworked trash collectors. Then plastic cans arrived on the scene, and according to their manufacturers, all the problems were over. As a matter of fact, the Rubbermaid company has always claimed in their commercials that their products would stand up under all kinds of punishment. Let's take a look at a recent commercial.
Year after year after year.
When you buy a garbage can, get one that's going to be around for a long time. The Rubbermaid Roughneck.
Year after year after year after year. Year after year after year. Year after year.
So when you're looking for a garbage can, look for Rubbermaid, and you know you'll get your money's worth.
Does that commercial deserve a challenge?
Yes!
Let's do it. We're going to really put this Rubbermaid Roughneck to the test, just like on the commercial. We're going to freeze it, bang it, jam it against the wall, hit it with a car, then turn it over to the raccoons. Leaving it outdoors to freeze was a problem. It was 70 degrees when we went to challenge this commercial, so what we had to do is to simulate the snow part of it. So we brought it into a freezer that is 5 above 0, and it's been sitting here for 3 days. Now let's see what happens when we put it to the shovel test. Well, let me show you what happened. We put some gouges in the can, but the can held up so well that it actually bent the snow shovel. And now we're going to see if the Roughneck will hold up to a banging on the side of the garbage bin. Well, got a few dents, but it held up. We've banged it out, we've put the lid on. Now let's see what happens when we hit it with a car. Well, we're really putting the Roughneck to a test, but now let's try jamming it up against a wall. We put it back in shape. Now let's go again. Let's give it a little more. That should do it. It looks like our old Roughneck has finally had it. But wait, it's coming back to life. It's straightening itself out. Now let's give it to the raccoons. Raccoons were chosen because they love garbage cans. We took Roughneck to the zoo and introduced it to their 2 raccoons, Popcorn and Bandit. Right away, Bandit was on the scent. Will he take on a Roughneck? He stalks. Roughneck waits. He's ready to attack. Will Roughneck survive? He attacks. He misses. He went right past it to the rear. Our cameraman scrambles for the shot. They're licking their chops. Roughneck is really in trouble now. What's this? They're going to sleep. Right in the middle of an exciting fight-back challenge? We really tried, but we just couldn't get Popcorn and Bandit, those raccoons, interested in our challenge. We asked the Rubbermaid company in Akron, Ohio, how they did it. They told us None of their raccoons were trained animals. However, one of them was a family pet. But Rubbermaid passed all the other parts of our test, even though there are a few scratches on the can. We were rougher on it than they were. So Rubbermaid, you get a mark of A on your commercial. And some special thanks to animal keeper Anne Marie Harrell of the Los Angeles Zoo for trying to wake up the raccoons. It seems that they are only active at night, and they were just more interested in getting some rest than attacking the Rubbermaid can. And now to another subject, something a lot of people do, and that is drive to Mexico. Thousands of American drivers risk more than they realize when they take their cars into Mexico without getting Mexican insurance coverage. They think they won't need it there, or they assume they're covered by their own American policies. In fact, many American insurance companies do say their coverage extends some limited distance inside Mexico, usually 50 or 75 miles from the border. But that's far from the only coverage that they need. Thousands of American drivers cross the border into Mexico every day. They may be planning to stay a few weeks or maybe just a couple of hours shopping. What many Americans don't realize is that Mexico requires all drivers to carry Mexican auto insurance. It doesn't matter what it says on your American auto insurance policy. That coverage is not recognized by Mexican authorities, and it does not satisfy the Mexican liability requirement. According to Mexican law, being involved in a traffic accident is a criminal offense. You can be arrested and jailed for it. And under Mexico's Napoleonic Code, you're guilty until proven innocent. If you're not properly insured, you may also have your car impounded until all claims against you are settled. That could be forever. Mexican auto insurance is for sale on both sides of the border. Basic liability coverage up to $8,000 costs about $5 a day, or about $28 a week. Mexican insurance companies also offer full coverage auto insurance. It costs almost twice as much as a liability-only policy, but it covers your losses, your injuries, damage to your car while you're in Mexico. The Mexican coverage rider on your own American policy may cover that too, but you may have to wait until you return to this country to file a claim. That's something you should talk over with your insurance agent before you leave. But most of all, be very careful driving in Mexico. If you have an accident, you can be arrested, and your car can still be impounded. A San Diego viewer told me that happened to him. He spent 10 days trying to deal with the insurance agents and lawyers and notaries and police officials. He says he also paid out $300 in bribes just to get his car out of Mexico, and he considers himself lucky. The only way you can fight back is to have the proper insurance. Then you have some legal protection. It hardly makes sense to cross the border anywhere in this country without it. And we'll be right back to Fight Back after this break. You know, one of the things more people seem to be aware of since watching our program is reading labels. And from the many labels sent to us, it's obvious that sometimes what it says on the outside of the package ain't necessarily so. Walter Stevens of Phoenix, Arizona, sent me a package of unsweetened Kool-Aid. But when you look at the ingredients you find, guess what? Sugar. Walter asks, do you think that's cool? 11-year-old Todd Curtis of Los Angeles was amazed to find that one of his favorite treats, Lemon Ice Juicy, has no lemon in it. Not even a squeeze. As a matter of fact, it's made of 70% apple juice. How do you get an apple to taste like a lemon? Tammy Pendergast of Sacramento, California questions extra strength Midol. She found the ingredients in extra strength were exactly the same as regular strength. aspirin, cinnamidrine hydrochloride, caffeine, all in the same amounts. Is this just a sales gimmick? Sandra Isaac of Farmington, Minnesota is really perplexed. She bought a box of Pillsbury Streusel Swirl Dutch Apple Cake Mix. On the outside of the box, it says to store loosely covered. But when she read the instructions on the packet on the inside, it said to store tightly covered. Well, what is it? Loosely or tightly? When Virginia Montgomery of Chicago looked at the label for real lemon, she found it real confusing. Is real lemon really made from lime? Virginia wants to know if she can really believe that label. Here's one I found myself while looking at the shelves for a can of Raid. What's this? A blank? Could this be for people who want to sneak up on those pesky little bugs? And finally, this label from Mrs. Ed Powers, who lives in Salinas, California. She is allergic to scented hairspray and bought several different unscented brands. But checking the ingredients on the label, she found they all contain fragrance. According to the dictionary, fragrance and scent are the same. It's obvious something smells here. Confusing? Well, the answers may be just as confusing. The mix-up with the Pillsbury Streusel cake, the real lemon, and the Raid bug killer labels are easy to explain. They were simply printing errors and sloppy quality control. They all got by because someone didn't notice it at the company that manufactured it. You store the streusel cake loosely, as shown on the outside of the box. Real lemon is made with real lemon, and the bug killers do come with labels, most of the time. But sugar in unsweetened Kool-Aid? Well, according to General Foods, the sugar is not used as a sweetener, but to keep the product flowing through the package line to assure the accuracy of the fill weight. General Food claims the amount of sugar per 8 ounces is insignificant and not harmful to those who must avoid sugar. I hope that makes more sense to you than it does to me. Apple juice is used in their Lemon Ice Juicy, according to the manufacturer Guido, because it has the least amount of aftertaste when frozen. The lemon flavor is listed in the ingredients under all natural flavors. They use lemon pulp in order to achieve the lemon taste. They certainly don't explain that on the package, do they? Now about extra-strength Midol. The manufacturer, the Sterling Drug Company, says regular and extra-strength Midol are the same. They claim their product has always been extra-strength. Both the Food and Drug Administration and the Federal Trade Commission say there are no regulations for calling a product extra-strength. Extra-strength might only mean buy me for extra sales. And finally, is unscented hairspray with fragrance really unscented? Fabergé in New York says, and I quote, almost every ingredient that goes into a product has an odor, and that it is necessary to neutralize the odor in order to come up with a scent that has no odor. In other words, they have to add fragrance so that it won't smell. Now, nobody said the explanations were going to be easy. You know, we all fought hard to get labeling laws passed, and manufacturers should have some pretty good reasons for any mistakes or confusion. Reading labels and reporting mistakes is an important way to keep manufacturers on their toes. If you find any labels you think are confusing, send them to me. And if we use them on the program, we'll send you a Fight Back t-shirt. You know, we all seem to be fascinated with our family histories since roots. We want to know where we came from and how we got there. But finding all that out may mean doing a lot of research. And that's just too much trouble for some people. They'd rather buy an instant, ready-made family history out of a mail order ad. They don't realize that it may not be their own family story at all. There really are no shortcuts on the trail of ancient ancestors. No cheap and easy ways to trace your family tree. Books like these that sell for $20 or $30 are not individually researched family histories. Each one contains brief, generalized background information on a particular family name. There are instructions on how to do family research and a printout of names and addresses of people with the same last name, taken from the phone book and utility mailing lists. The same book is sold to anyone with the same last name, related or not.
It certainly would be unreasonable for anyone to assume that they could write to a genealogist or write any place and get back a researched family tree for $10 or $20, whatever, because each family is individual.
Putting together a family history begins with learning how. Schools, colleges, and local genealogy societies offer beginners courses to get people started, show them what to look for and how to find it. There's a surprising amount of information available without having to travel thousands of miles to look up old records. Public libraries often maintain extensive genealogical collections, copies of vital records from all over the country and around the world. The resources of the Mormon Genealogical Archives are also available to the public. If some particular record isn't on film locally, it can be ordered from the huge main archives in Salt Lake City. Once into the research, genealogy can be like any other personal hobby. It's easy to get hooked.
I think the fascination is just the same as it is for people who like to do any kind of puzzles. It's putting all the pieces together.
Of course, the most important resource is someone who remembers, someone in the family who knows more about the family's history than they may have ever told anyone. Those are the people to talk to first. What's in a name? Coincidence. Maybe not much more. Seattle newspaper ran a story recently about the name Horowitz, what it means and where it came from. Of course, my name was mentioned in the article along with a number of other Horowitzes as if we were all related. We are not. And that story in the paper may not relate to me in any way. It's the same with mail order crests and coat of arms of instant family histories. There's just no way to know if they're really part of your own personal history or not. Now, you may be paying for a piece of someone else's heritage that really doesn't belong to you. And we'll be right back after this break.
If I go into a restaurant and order food and it's really terrible.
Why don't they have more help in the department stores?
And they said that they could not give me cash back on the spot.
So what do we do about it, David?
Our Fightback teleremote crew has been out on the street getting questions that you want to ask. The first one comes from Gary Puglisi.
I have a question. If I go into a restaurant and order food and it's really terrible, am I obligated to pay for it, or can I just get up and walk out?
Well, Gary, any good restaurant will usually give you something else on the menu or not ask you to pay for it. But I suggest you don't argue with the waiter or waitress, but instead talk to the manager about it. And if they don't do it, then, Gary, you know you have found a restaurant that you do not want to go back to. Our next question comes from Marguerite Collender.
Question is, why don't they have more help in the department stores? When you go in and you ask to be waited on, there's no one there. You pick up your article and you stand there like a big dummy, a big figurehead, and you go over to the next counter. She's, oh, I can't take care of that. Go over there. And the other girl there, she doesn't want to be bothered. So what do we do about it, David?
Well, Marguerite, part of the reason there's less help is because of the economy. But you want to know something? You're a customer and a very real person. And if you can't find someone who will wait on you, I suggest you go to the department manager. And if the department manager doesn't do something about it, you might go to customer relations or the store manager. And if they don't do anything about it, I would tell them to take that item and shove it back in stock. Our last question comes from Michael Fisher.
Yes, I went to return a gift that a friend had given me, and I couldn't find the right size or the color that I wanted, so I wanted to get it returned and get cash back, and they said that they could not give me cash back on the spot. And I was curious to see why I couldn't get cash back.
Well, a lot of stores have a policy like that, but I have found in cases that if you insist on getting the check right then and there, and you go to someone who is in some authority on that store, they will take care of you. But you have to be insistent. You have to really make your point and let them know you want that money now, and you'll usually get it. But you know, we've gotten it because the clock has beat us. We're all out of time. But remember, stay aware and informed, and fight back, and don't let anyone rip you off. Okay. If there's something you want us to look into or you want us to challenge your commercial, write us. Here's our address, Fight Back, Burbank, California, and our zip code is 91523.